was the miracle of you that made this happen.
The best love stories don't start with fireworks. Sometimes they start in the ashes. God is love.
Have you ever felt like life just keeps knocking you down? And just when you think you can't get back up, love, faith, and hope step in to guide you? That's exactly the story of Ruth and Boaz. A tale of heartbreak, guilt, redemption, and finding love in the most unexpected places. Today, we're breaking it down step by step, and by the end, I'll explain exactly how the movie ends and why it's so satisfying. Before we dive into the movie, please don't forget to drop a like. It really motivates me to keep making more videos. Let's see if we can hit 100 likes on this one. The movie begins in a busy Atlanta club. Ruth Mobley, played by Saraya, is performing alongside her best friend, Bree. As they prepare backstage, saying quick prayers and putting on their outfits, Ruth feels that tonight will be special. Her boyfriend Marlon is in the audience with his parents, Eli and Naomi. This will be her first meeting with them. Despite Marlon's praise of Ruth's singing, Naomi isn't impressed. She sees Ruth as just another pretty girl performing typical hip-hop music, and she's also uncomfortable with how Ruth and Bree use their bodies to grab attention. At the same time, Ruth herself isn't satisfied. She wanted her music to make a real difference, to use her God-given talent in a meaningful way. Performing in nightclubs, where men mostly just stare at her, isn't what she envisioned for her life. Bree tries to tell her to take what opportunities she can, but Ruth is unconvinced. After their performance, a music producer named Cyrus Cy Jordan approaches them. He wants to produce their first album, and even sets up a possible deal with Atlanta star Jermaine Dupri. Ruth starts recording, but it quickly becomes clear that she has no passion for these songs. She confides in Bree, saying she began singing to inspire change and loved Bree's empowering music. Disillusioned by fame and money, Ruth decides to leave the music industry, which makes Cy furious. He threatens to ruin her life to get back the money he thinks she owes him. When Ruth tries to leave, Cy makes it clear she can't escape her obligations. That night, Ruth calls Marlon, but Naomi answers with devastating news. Marlon and Eli were in a terrible accident. Ruth rushes to the hospital, only to learn they didn't survive. Naomi is now completely alone. Even though Ruth and Naomi weren't close at first, Ruth feels a deep responsibility to support the grieving woman. Her guilt grows when she learns that Cy actually orchestrated the carjacking that led to their deaths, aiming to steal Marlon's car to make up for the album money he lost. On top of that, Naomi is left bankrupt because of unpaid loans, and her house is being auctioned. The only remaining asset is her home in Pegram, Tennessee. Feeling guilt and a sense of duty, Ruth decides to accompany Naomi and care for her.
What are you doing here?
I'm going with you.
No, you're not.
Well, who's gonna look after you?
I don't need looking after, little girl. You better get off this bus.
Naomi initially resists. She doesn't want Ruth to shoulder the responsibility, especially since Ruth isn't family. But Ruth insists, determined to help and escape Cy's control in Atlanta. While Ruth moves to Tennessee, Bree stays in Atlanta, still working with Cy. She even recruits a new singer for their duo, 404. But no one can match Ruth's talent. Cy pressures Bree to reveal Ruth's location, even going through her phone. It looks like Bree might betray her friend, but she stays loyal, warning Ruth whenever she senses danger. In Tennessee, Ruth meets Lena at a local vineyard. Lena enters Ruth into a karaoke event, recognizing her talent from social media. Ruth's performance goes viral, which unfortunately alerts Cy. But Bree never betrays her, staying true to her best friend throughout the ordeal. At first, Naomi is distant. She's overwhelmed by grief and anger and even loses faith, taking down her crucifix. She doesn't enjoy Ruth's company, seeing her as an outsider. But over time, Naomi starts to see the good Ruth brings. Ruth's presence motivates the community to help rebuild Naomi's house, and Naomi slowly begins to heal. She accepts Ruth as her daughter when Ruth shows genuine concern during a hospitalization for her blood pressure. Naomi even encourages Ruth to pursue romance with Boaz, seeing him as a positive influence. Through this, Naomi becomes a true mother figure, guiding Ruth toward a happy and meaningful life.
Ruth made this for you.
Oh, yeah? That's not bad. For someone who hates my guts.
I don't hate you.
Well, in that case, the two of you need to take a walk.
I don't think that'll be appropriate, given he's my boss, you know?
He's not your boss today.
I guess she's right about that one.
Through their friendship and growing romance, Ruth realizes that Boaz is the perfect partner, not just because of how he treats her, but because of the peace he brings into her life. For the first time in a long while, Ruth feels safe, grounded, and ready to start over. But just as she begins to settle into her new life, her past finally catches up with her. Cyrus, the music producer she walked away from, tracks her down in Tennessee. Filled with rage and resentment, he decides to make her pay for leaving him and the music deal behind. He sneaks onto Boaz's vineyard and sets it on fire, destroying the wine Boaz had spent years perfecting. Then he confronts Ruth, pressuring her to return with him to Atlanta and finish the album. Boaz steps in before things go too far, defending Ruth and standing up to Cyrus. The confrontation quickly escalates into a fight, with Boaz and Cyrus clashing as Ruth and Naomi watch in fear. Just when it seems Cyrus might gain the upper hand, Naomi bravely steps forward and fires her pistol, not to harm, but to stop the chaos. The sound of the gunshot freezes everything in place, giving the police just enough time to arrive and arrest Cyrus before he can cause any more pain. From that point on, Ruth's life is finally free from the grip of fear and control that had haunted her for so long. She can breathe again, truly, freely, and safely. Ruth and Boaz's love deepens even more after that night. He helps her heal from her trauma, forgives her past completely, and continues to treat her with nothing but love, respect, and understanding. Together, they build a future based on trust and faith. Soon after, they formally acknowledge their relationship and get married. Naomi is overjoyed, watching Ruth finally experience the happiness and security she once thought she'd lost forever. And even the vineyard fire, which once felt like another cruel twist of fate, turns into an unexpected blessing. The flames give the wine a unique, smoky flavor, one that captures attention across the industry. Boaz launches a new line of wine called R&B, named lovingly after Ruth and himself. The wine wins awards, earns recognition, and attracts investors who help bring it to wider markets. The story concludes on a joyful, faith-filled note, demonstrating that even the darkest moments can give way to light. Through faith, love, and perseverance, Ruth and Boaz overcome every challenge life throws their way, proving that redemption is possible, healing is real, and sometimes, God's plan is simply waiting on the other side of pain.
It was the miracle of you that made this happen.
The best love stories don't start with fireworks. Sometimes they start in the ashes.
Now let's break down the ending of Ruth and Boaz in full detail. By the end of the story, Boaz steps forward as a true redeemer, not only in the romantic sense, but spiritually and legally as well. He redeems Ruth and Naomi's family name, ensuring their protection, their future, and their dignity. This act directly mirrors the biblical story it's inspired by, where Boaz redeems Ruth's family and restores what was lost. It's a moment of divine alignment, symbolizing how love and faith can rebuild what tragedy tries to destroy. Then comes the fire at the vineyard, an event that, at first, seems like pure devastation. But just like many trials in life, it turns out to be a blessing in disguise. What was meant to ruin Boaz instead transforms his wine into something extraordinary. The flames, which once represented danger, end up symbolizing transformation. Through that adversity, Boaz and Ruth find unexpected success, proving that sometimes what burns down can also clear the path for something greater. Ruth's music journey also comes full circle. By the end, she returns to her passion for singing, but this time it's on her own terms. No controlling producers, no exploitation, just her voice, her story, and her purpose. It's a powerful sign of personal growth and freedom. Ruth isn't just performing anymore. She's reclaiming her identity and using her gift for good. Ruth and Boaz's marriage seals everything together. Their union represents stability, love, and renewal. It's not just about romance, it's about partnership and purpose. Through their bond, Naomi, who once lost everything, now has a home again. She's protected, loved, and finally at peace. Every single challenge, from Cyrus's threats to the vineyard fire, serves a greater purpose. They test their faith, strengthen their character, and remind us that even through pain, something beautiful can emerge. In the end, Ruth and Boaz tie every thread together: love, family, growth, and faith, reminding us that redemption doesn't always come the easy way, but it always arrives right on time. And that's the story of Ruth and Boaz, a film that reminds us that no matter how far we fall, grace always finds a way to lift us back up. It's about faith that doesn't quit, love that redeems, and the kind of strength that can only come from starting over. Ruth's journey from heartbreak to healing shows that purpose can be born out of pain. And Boaz's quiet loyalty proves that real love isn't loud. It's consistent. It's kind. And it shows up when you need it most. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Tell me your favorite moment from Ruth and Boaz and what lesson stood out most to you. Until next time, keep your faith strong, your heart open, and remember, every ending can be the start of something new.